Next question I want to take a shot at here is, it says, please explain why the man is not mentioned in John 8, 1 through 11, that was also involved in adultery. Now, this is an interesting question, and I probably wouldn't typically have answered it, but I think there's something about God's heart that I want you to know. The first week, I preached a message called God's View of Sex, and at the end, I talked about how a woman was caught in adultery and how God was so gracious to this woman that he didn't stand over her and condemn her, but he showed mercy and grace to her well before she even asked for it. And the question is, why wasn't the man mentioned? I think to understand this, you have to understand something about the culture of the day, and you have to understand that it was the Pharisees or the religious leaders of the day who brought the woman. They didn't bring the man. The laws around that at that time did put the blame on the woman, and the man didn't get a free ride, but the Pharisees, they're the ones who dragged the woman to Jesus. And Jesus, his heart was dealing with the woman that was there. Now, if the Pharisees had dragged the man as well, I think that God would have treated the man in the very same manner, with mercy and with grace. And so the fact that the fact that the man was not mentioned in adultery has no implications on God's heart for women, or even the Bible's heart for women. It basically more speaks to what was the cultural climate of the day and what were the religious people involved with. How did they handle those relationships? But what we do see is we see that Jesus was very gracious with this woman. He was merciful. He did not condemn her, but he wanted to bring dignity to her life. He wanted to speak mercy. He wanted to speak love. And so I think what I would encourage you in this question is not to think about how it was portrayed in the Bible, because the Bible is recounting an historical event, was recounting what the cultural climate of the day was. What I would encourage you to think about is how Jesus handled the situation. Jesus, unlike the Pharisees, unlike the religious leaders, unlike the culture, did not condemn her, did not want to stone her, but he stood over her and spoke mercy into her life, spoke love into her life. And it wanted to bring dignity and honor into this woman and to really treat her like the daughter of God that she is. And so in answering that question, I kind of want to divert your attention away from how the Bible recorded it, because it's recording history, recording the way culture was. But what's really key to see is how Jesus responded to this woman, which is how we today as Christians should respond to this situation. So hopefully that makes sense to you, and hopefully that answers some of your questions.